Hello there guys, my name is MrYorkiesWorld, welcome back to the channel, and I am extremely excited to be bringing you this aircraft, this absolutely gorgeous aircraft from PMDG, brand new in the simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we're going to be taking the BBJ variant today on a private flight, MrYorkiesWorld Flight 1892 to be exact, from Gatwick to Edinburgh. Now, I've not made a video on the channel in quite some time. There are several reasons for that. I won't go into them in this video. But look how gorgeous this aircraft is. It is absolutely unreal. I've been so excited to try this out. And now finally we can. So we will go ahead and get into the flight deck. And we're going to get our flight plan up. Let me just drag it over from the second screen there. So we can see we've got the route set up and everything. We've got a co-route that's been downloaded from SimBrief all the way from Gatwick, all the way up here. And into Edinburgh. So again, I've not made a video in a while, so I might be a little bit rusty, I might forget things, and the simulator is not necessarily working at its absolute best at the moment, but there we go. We're going to set the parking brake to begin with, and we're going to go straight down into the FMC, FS Actions, Fuel, and today we are going to be taking a total of 5,591 kilograms of fuel. The payload, let me just have a look on the SimBrief weights section here for the zero fuel weight, which is going to be 47.8, so we can stick that in there. It just feels so surreal actually being able to use this aircraft after waiting so long for a decent 737. So we can turn on the fuel pumps, ISO valve can go to auto, and we can start the APU as well while we're at it. And another thing that we can get on with is the emergency lights. We might as well arm those. Going to switch on the chime and the seatbelt signs as well. Our cruise level today is going to be flight level 370, so I'm going to set that in the pressurization. Like so, and then we can switch the IRSs to nav. And let's go down into the FMC and set the route up. So pausing it, we are at Echo Golf Kilo Kilo today. I'm not going to bother with the gate, I'm just going to leave that out. We're going to get the GPSL position, stick it in there, go to route, and we do have a co-route set up, so I'm going to go EGKK to EGPH, which is Edinburgh. Now this process has changed a little bit. We're going to go ahead and click request, and then you have to go to select. Before, I'm sure you didn't have to do that, you literally just put the co-route in and it loaded everything. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I suppose it doesn't really matter anyway. So the second FMC I've set to the legs page. Obviously we don't have any legs yet, we've got to wait while it's ready to load, which it will come up at some point. I'm going to put 26 left as our departure runway and load the route uplink. Now that's going to take a few seconds to actually load. So what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to go to the APU and just transfer the power, like so. And go back down to the FMC. It looks like the departure runway has been taken away, so we'll just put that back in. 26 left. And our flight number today is going to be Mike Yankee Whiskey 1892. So Mike Yankee Whiskey 1892. So we can go to the perf init page now, and I'm going to request this as well. Again, a little bit of a waiting game. It can take a while sometimes. One thing I can do is go ahead and set the auto brake to RTO, because that is something which we should have done a bit earlier. And you can see now the perf init uplink is ready. We're going to set 6,000 on the transition altitude and load the perf init uplink. Execute that as well. So now on to N1 limit. We're going to use a 26k D rate today with flaps 5. Work out the centre of gravity, and our V speeds. V2 is 134, so we can go ahead and put that in there. So 134, there we go. And I'm also going to go ahead and switch on traffic and data on both sides, along with the flight directors as well. And one thing I like to do is put some fix information in around the destination airport. So Echo Golf Papa Hotel, I'm going to put 50, 100, and 150, and that's just going to draw some radius rings around the airport itself, so I know where I am in relation to it. And then of course I'm going to select the departure. So the departure today is going to be from 26 left, and we're going to be using the LAM 6 mic departure. So we can execute that and then go to the arrival. We're going to be doing an ILS landing on runway 24 today, and we're going to use the INP1 Echo arrival, which is just there. Transition wise, I believe we're going to be using EDN, and then it's time to check for discontinuities, which I believe, yep, there is one. So let me just get rid of that one like so. Execute that. And then I'll just come up here, go to plan mode, and go through all the waypoints just to check that everything looks okay and there's no weird turns and things like that that we don't need. Zoom out a little bit so we can see all of them. Step, 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 step. There's the radius rings that we've put round from the fix information. Everything looks to be okay. Let me just zoom in a little bit on this. We might do some manual vectoring at the end, but it should be okay. That looks good to me. Right, so we can switch back to map mode. Go to the init.ref page on here, legs page on the second one. I think at some point it is going to come back to me on how to do things a little bit quicker. I'm a little bit rusty, but there we go. The transponder is set to XPDR, which is good. I'm just following the old checklists that I made myself for the P3D version of this aircraft, and it seems to be working well so far. I'm going to bring over the route on EFB again, and I'm just going to put in the departure that we're using and everything. So 26 left. The LAM 6 mic is going to be the departure, I believe. Yes, there we go. Set the flight plan. So that'll show us the departure. And I'm going to set our initial altitude to about 4,000 because it says by ATC and we don't actually have any ATC because we're flying offline today. So we'll set 4,000. We can arm LNAV and VNAV. And I suppose we can go up and turn on the yaw damper as well. Window heat switches can come on. And we can switch on the APU bleed. And then we should be able to close the doors and everything and get ready for departure. So go to menu, FS actions, doors and close door. I don't think there's any other doors that are actually open, so that's the only one we need to worry about. We can arm the auto throttle as well. And we might as well switch on the hydraulics. So hydraulics and the anti-collision light. And I'm actually going to be using a tool called Toolbar Pushback, which is a free add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I will leave a link in the description to it. It's absolutely fantastic, very similar to GSX in the way that you can plan the pushback and you don't have to sort of mess around with manually controlling the tug or anything. So pre-plan pushback. It does sometimes take a few seconds to load up the airport and get all the taxiways and everything, but it's very simple to use. All you do is click and drag to move the map, and then you've got the green silhouette of an aircraft. You can rotate it with the middle mouse button, and when you're done, left click and press enter. So that's pre-planned. You just click request pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
So now the tug will come over and get ready to push you back. We can remove the wheel chocks, which will remove all of the ground services as well. One thing to note with toolbar pushback, at the time of making this video, it's probably a good idea to disable the nose wheel lift option, because for some reason it causes some issues. But apart from that, it is an absolutely fantastic piece of kit. You can see it getting to work there. Now the sim does seem a little bit choppy at the moment. I do apologise. It's having some issues with performance. You can see I'm getting 30 odd frames per second, but the smoothness is not all there.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Release the parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing pushback. You can start the engines in sequence.
It will start in the sequence.
Okay, so engine 2 is the first one to start. Normally we wait while about 25% to let the fuel in, but I do actually want to see some wing views as well and show you some of that, so might do it a little bit early. You can see that choppiness there when I'm transitioning between the wing views. That is terrible, isn't it? But look at that, absolutely beautiful aircraft. And I will show you the interior very shortly. It's absolutely gorgeous. So left wing view now. You can sort of hear the engine starting up. And we can do engine 1 now. That was good timing. Again, I'm going to wait while around 25%. Toolbar pushback makes it a hell of a lot easier to be able to do views and stuff like this at the same time as just getting pushback, getting the engine started. It's all automatic, except of course for the pushback planning part, but there we go. But look how detailed the interior is. The cabin is absolutely fantastic. We've got a coffee mug there, some croissants, a laptop. It looks absolutely amazing. I might do a video just exploring each one of the cabins of the different variants. So almost pushed back to our position now. I love how automated it is and how accurate it is. It is really good.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Okay, parking brake is set.
Parking brake set. Ground. Startup is complete. You may disconnect.
Roger. Good engine start. Clear it to disconnect. See you at the side.
Right,
Have a good
continuous with the engines.
Holding position waiting for the visual. Thank you and goodbye.
We can switch on the taxi and turn-offs. And the probe heats can come on. Transfer the APU power. APU bleed can come off and the APU can come off. Go over to the packs and set them to auto. And of course we will set flap 5. Down they come. Quick control check, full left and full right, or what you can see of it. And there we go. And we also need to set the trim, so 4.4, that looks about right. Right, so we're about ready to go. Release the parking brake and we will begin our taxi to 26 left. Got to get used to the fact that it's not like the A320 where you can literally take the parking brake off and the engines will carry you. And I've got to admit, I've never been a fan of the steering on the PMDG ever since they updated it to this more realistic thing. It's a hell of a lot more sensitive in my opinion than it should be. It's like a tiny movement sends you skating across the taxiway. And when we come up to this turn to the left here, you've got to see what I mean. It's like very, very small inputs that I'm making right now, and it's having, compared to the input that I'm putting in, it's having quite a dramatic effect. So anyway, the taxi to 26 left is not too far, but it's going to be a little bit boring, so I will skip ahead with the magic of editing and see you in a second. Okay, so here comes the threshold for runway 26 left. I probably will stop and just make sure the aircraft's configured before we go any further. We don't have any other traffic on, so we don't have to worry about that. It's quite difficult to sort of stop as well with the brakes. It's very sensitive. Taxi light off, landing lights on, and we can turn on the strobes as well. Transponder can go to TA and RA, and we'll give it a test as well.
TCAS test passed.
TCAS has passed, that's all good. So we can enter the runway now. So this is my feeble attempt at lining up. And I've gone too far. So I've got to straighten up a little bit. Should be okay, we can do that on the takeoff roll, that's no problem whatsoever. I'm going to increase the throttle to 40%. And toga. Here comes V1, and rotate as well. Could have been a little bit more gentle on the rotation there, but positive rate, and gear up. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Try and slip a wing view in there as well. Absolutely amazing, look at that. So I'm trying to take manual control of the aircraft here. Might have to let the autopilot take over in a second just so I can clean up. So lock the gear. Auto brake's been set to off. Gonna start bringing those flaps up now. Beautiful views. Absolutely beautiful. So we have gone a little bit higher than our 4,000, so I'm just going to put 6,000 in. Probably me not paying attention. Can switch off the runway turn-offs now. Gotta love the view. So we're coming up on 6,000 feet now, so I'm going to go ahead and set standard pressurization in a second. Like so. And there's Gatwick. The scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator is simply, it's just stunning, absolutely stunning. Got some really nice cloud formations there as well. That's a nice view of the aircraft. Okay, so that is the basic departure done. We just need to go and get to 370 very, very shortly. And in about under an hour's time, we'll be approaching our destination of Edinburgh. So I'm going to catch up with you guys in a little bit. I'll leave you some cinematics, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay guys, so as you can see we're just approaching top of descent now, which is unusually very close to top of climb, but we're almost coming up on the 100-mile radius ring that we set in the fixed page. So what that means is we can set the aircraft up for descent, basically, descent and approach. So our next fix is saying that we need to be at 260, so we're going to go ahead and set that. We're going to use auto brake 2 today, and then what I'll do is get the approach information, the frequencies, the minimums, things like that, and stick it all into the MCP, into the autopilot. That's going to do a little bit of number crunching and tell us what speeds we need and things like that on approach, and then we'll be ready. So if I go over to EFB now, you can see that I've already programmed in the approach, and we need 108.9 at 241. So I'm going to go ahead and set the course to 241 in a second. Let me just make sure 108.9 at 241. We're going to be using flaps 30 at 125 knots. Plus 5, that will be 130 knots. So what I like to do is use this little gadget here, memory device, just to put the final approach speed in there so I don't forget it. And then of course, if we can actually get it inside the cockpit, there we go, we need to set the actual course, which is 241, and that needs to be set on both sides. So work our way down from 360 to 241. Bit long-winded, but there we go, we got there. And we don't appear to be descending, so I'm going to use level change. And that should, yeah, there we go, the descent has begun. So I'm going to catch up with you guys a little bit later on when we are a little bit closer to Edinburgh. I'll sort out the minimums and everything a little bit closer to the time, and I'll see you on the approach. Okay guys, so here we are coming out of 8,000 feet now. We've got the landing lights on, we've got everything sorted, everything configured. And as we look out the windows, you can actually see some really nice scenery. We've got a little bit of popping in, but the scenery is genuinely quite nice. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous view. And that is even nicer. One of the videos I do want to make is a video about the interior cabin of the new PMDG aircraft. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, but the BBJ is absolutely beautiful on the inside. The attention to detail is second to none. But again, that's something that, in my opinion, for what you pay for this aircraft, it is probably one of the more expensive ones, but you get exactly what you pay for. In fact, I'd probably extend that and say you get more than what you actually pay for. Okay guys, so we're on the final leg now, just coming on to intercept the localizer. And I've just remembered actually that I forgot to set the clock going on departure, but never mind. Right, okay, so gear down, flap 15. Look at that, that is absolutely beautiful. We can set the final approach speed now as well. And any second now, let's just have a look and see where the diamond is. Not quite. But once the localizer is captured fully, I will go ahead and switch on VOR lock. In fact, I might do that a little bit early just to make sure that it captures it. Flap 30 now. And I'll also go VOR lock. That should turn us onto the localizer, which is exactly what it's doing. And of course, when the glide slope comes in, we will arm the approach, which is not quite there yet. Okay, there's the approach. And that should now capture it. Nice stable approach now. We've got a 24 knot headwind pushing us slightly to the left. So I might have to compensate once we take manual control of the aircraft. Gotta admit, I do love the visuals on approach into Edinburgh. Absolutely gorgeous, especially out the left wing on a runway 24 approach. FPS is looking okay as well, 35. You can see that down on the bottom right hand corner. For those of you who are new to the channel, I always try and display the FPS there. But look at that, absolutely gorgeous. This is what I mean by the lovely scenery on the left hand wing and out of the left windows. Absolutely amazing. So while we're on a nice stable approach, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for welcoming me back to YouTube after the absence that I've had. If you'd like to support the channel, I do have some donation and Patreon links in the description, and of course don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping to do many more full flight videos, tutorials and various other things, and I might even take the odd flight request as well. So if you have any of those, do let me know in the comment section down below. What flight would you like me to do in what aircraft from A to B, and I'll do my best to accommodate. But look at this scenery, this is absolutely gorgeous. So today I am going to be trying to disconnect at 1,000 feet. Can't guarantee it, depends on how stable we are, but I do like to take manual control every now and then and get the bird on the ground. So I am expecting a 1,000 feet call any moment. I think I might just have missed the 1,000 there because I was out of the cockpit. So it looks like even the aircraft is struggling a little bit to maintain where it is. Might be due to that wind component. It's a full-on headwind at the minute. Lovely wing views, lovely clouds. There's 400 feet. Just going to wait a little bit longer because it's not exactly the smoothest of rides at the minute.
Approaching minimum.
Okay, I'm going to take manual control. The aircraft is mine.
200.
Lifting the nose up a little bit. Continue. Two reds, two whites. Maybe one white now.
40. 30.
And
10.
oh, that was a bit heavy, but touchdown. Now, reversers don't appear to work very well with me. I'm holding down the F2 key, and they don't really appear to be doing anything when I'm advancing the throttles. And I might have to start using manual brakes in a minute. That's unusual. Maybe I should have used auto brake 3. That might have been a little bit more appropriate. But never mind, I'm sure we can make this exit to the left here. Welcome everybody to Edinburgh. Apologies for the slightly heavy landing there. But it is one of my first landings in the 737 since it became available for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've not really practiced that much in the aircraft, and the last time I used this aircraft, the PMDG variant of the 737, would have been in P3D when it's a completely different simulator. Right, okay, so we can start the APU straight away, and engines to the off position, taxi light on, landing lights off. I'll do a little bit of the MCP cleanup in a moment. Just going to make this turn. I've got no idea where we're going to park, so we're just going to have a look on the apron and see wherever's free. I suppose we don't really have any particular livery, it's just a business jet, so I'm not exactly sure on where we would park in the real world, but there we go. Bit of MCP cleanup. VORs, traffic and data, switch all that off. Flight directors, both sides. Just going to take a look at EFB on the second screen and see where we can potentially park. Can turn off the transponder and the frequencies can be reset now. Okay, so I think we've finally found somewhere to park. There are some light aircraft and other various aircraft around, but there's nobody parked in this particular space that's in front of us now. We can switch off all the lights so we don't blind people. And gate 6 appears to be the go-to gate for us right now. So I'm going to try and brake at the right time and not suddenly come to a stop. Obviously I'm using the Thrustmaster HOTAS 1 joystick and throttle quadrant, so it's not exactly the easiest. I do only have like a single trigger to brake, but there we go. This view seems to be quite a nice view. Try and slow down ever so carefully. It doesn't exactly work, it just goes in massive increments. Even for a quick press. Oops, see what I mean? There we go. We're going to set the parking brake there regardless. Transfer the APU power. And we will cut the engines. So that is it, and welcome once again everybody to Edinburgh. I have really enjoyed this flight. It has been the first flight back, the first full flight back on the channel. Let's get the jetway connected. There we go. Yeah, the first full flight video that I've done since September of 2021, I believe. But nevertheless, it's been extremely fun to make a comeback to the channel, and you can expect plenty more videos, tutorial videos, short flights, long flights, full flights, showcases. I've also recently teamed up with Orbex as one of their influencers, so I'm going to have access to new products from Orbex that I'll be able to try out and showcase on the channel, so stay tuned for that. If you did go on to enjoy this video, leave me a like and leave me a comment in the comments section telling me what flight you would like to see next. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.